Welcome back to MMA Sucka Fight fans. My name is Nate Freeman. Joining me today is Garrett Armfield. He's fighting for the FAC Bantamweight Championship next Friday, May 6th. Garrett, how you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, man. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I'm glad to have you on here. So, like I just mentioned, you're fighting for the FAC Bantamweight Championship. It's your first time fighting in the promotion. Talk to me about your experience with them so far. Obviously, James Krause is one of the main people in that promotion, running the promotion and everything. Just tell me your experience with them so far.
Yeah, so originally they were KCFA, Kansas City Fighting Alliance, and they rebranded to FAC and got on Fight Pass like about 2 years ago. I don't really know how long ago, but I actually fought for KCFA as an amateur. I fought for them twice actually. Once against a guy named Alan Olivas, and then the other one, my last amateur trial was David Onama. And so dealt with James Krause, Scott Colbreth, Joe Wooster, all these guys before, and they are great guys. They run a very smooth ship, and it's great. It's, you walk in for weigh-ins. They don't bring like a live weigh-ins. It's usually just good to go, weigh in, leave, very efficient, very ran very smoothly, and I'm really excited to fight for them. Communication's been good.
Yeah,
Yeah, so.
for sure. And in the championship fight next Friday, you're facing Stephen Graham. Got a pretty good record. He's a veteran of the sport. Tell me a little bit about what you see in him and how you see the fight going.
So he's actually a southpaw fighter, and from the videos, it shows that he likes to utilize his jiu-jitsu the most. And he has cardio, and he's got heart as well. So I'm really excited for this fight. He's a talented fighter. I'm very excited to share the cage with him. But I'm excited for my performance as well. There's a lot of things that you look for in game plans, obviously. And for this fight, I've pretty much worked all over. I'm trying to perfect every single portion of my craft, not just stick to one thing, stick to this. Oh, he's going to do this, do that. It's all about rounding out your skills to the fullest extent, because whenever I do get to the UFC, wherever that time does come, if it does come, I'm going to be ready for whatever competition comes my way. So then, come back to this fight. We're just trying to be able to beat him in all areas. It doesn't matter what area he specializes in. I've worked my ass off to be the best I can be at this moment in those areas as well. So again, it's gonna be a fantastic fight. You know, my game plan for the fight is it doesn't really matter where it goes. I'm confident in all my abilities. Whether it's gonna be standing, go to the ground, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, if it's gonna be a 5-round war or a 10-second fight, it doesn't matter. I'm ready for it. I'm really excited for it.
Absolutely. You talked a little bit about game planning. Tell me a little bit about. I know each fighter's a little bit different in terms of how they go about game planning. A lot of people just try to basically just leave it to the coaches and just do whatever the coaches tell them in fight. Some of them want to be fully invested watching every single fight of their opponent. Where do you sort of lie on that spectrum?
I like to be fully invested. I mean, it's my fight, and the more I know, the better I feel about a fight. Nobody ever wants to go in there fighting some guy they've never seen the footage of. So I watched every single fight that I could find, and my teammates and my coaches have as well. And so we have specific things that we have been drilling just about every night of the week. It's cool because at the beginning of camp, you start working on specific details here, and then as the camp progresses on, you start once you master or start running those specific moves and drills efficiently, then you start adding on and adding on, and it's cool to see from the beginning of camp how much you can evolve just from focusing on one fight at a time. And you can see what you really need to work on, what his strengths are, and where you want to increase your weaknesses or your holes, and you want to make your strengths match his strengths. And so it's cool to see the progression go on. And I'm really excited. I'm one of those people that are fully invested in game planning.
I would imagine that it would be better. I know fighters love to just sit back and visualize how the fight goes in their mind before it happens. I'm sure that doing a lot of game planning and sort of knowing the ins and outs of him helps with that as well, helping you get mentally prepared for it.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I'm a big believer in visualization. I do everything from where I play my walkout song to where every day before we do spar, or not every day we spar, but whenever we do spar, um, I'll put the Vaseline on and like I'll close my eyes, imagine I'm about to get into the cage because that smell of Vaseline, for some reason, that's one smell that reminds me of fight night. And so I do that a lot. And I don't know, this camp I really worked into the visualization aspect of it. I've never done it this much before, and I've never been more this as excited to fight before. So like I just like started to sit there and I try to imagine what he's gonna look like, what his stance is gonna look like, what he's gonna smell like, the craziest things, just so whenever I get to that moment in my mind, I have been there a million times. And so whenever I step in the cage, it's just like practice, it's just like drilling. Obviously with 100% increased intensity, but you know, been there before, and I'll be there again Friday night.
Now, who are you training with, spending the most of your time training with for this camp? I know Dustin Lampros, one of your fellow St. Louis natives that trains at Sanford, just finished a fight at Shamrock where you've spent a
Yeah,
lot of time. Have you been doing a lot of training with him both since you were both preparing for fights, and who else have you been training with?
yeah. I train a lot with Dustin. He's one of my boys. He's a great guy, great human being, great fighter. And he does a very good job at taking care of each other. He's not one of those people where you'll get hurt ever going with him. Very calm, safe fighter. I work with him a lot. I work with an outstanding wrestler named Mitch McKee, who's an All-American wrestler who fights on LFA right now, and he's going to be making waves in his career. As you'll see, you'll begin to know his name. Um, Along with a man named Adamu, who's a fighter from Nigeria, who's a Taekwondo expert. And this dude's got the most flexible kicks in the world. So I work with him a lot. And also, mostly, I work with Ronnie Lawrence, who actually fought in my third professional fight. He now fights in the UFC, but he's actually going to be cornering me uh, come fight night. And so I get a lot of work with him. So I get a lot of different looks and a lot of different styles, all from jujitsu guys to purely strikers. Again, it's not just only this fight. I'm just trying to prepare myself for my future fights as well. So I get thrown all different styles at me, and it's crazy to see how fast you can improve when you have everybody trying to push you and support you, and the morale is high.
For sure, for sure. Um, at this point, speaking about your future, at this point, assuming you win on Friday, what do you think is the next steps for you and for your career? Like, are there any negotiations about doing anything beyond this fight, or um, yeah, what does the future hold? You think?
You know, I'm gonna be ready for whatever comes my way. Whatever promotion. Obviously, my goal is the UFC. Um, or Dana White's Contender Series, either or. But at the end of the day, I'm a fighter. It's my lifestyle. It's who I am at heart. And so, even if it's not a UFC contract that's waiting for me after this fight, I'll take whatever fight comes next. I want to stay active. I really love fighting. I love being in camp. I feel like I'm my best version of myself when I'm coming up on fight night. And so, no specific goals. I'm not going to sit here and be like, I want the UFC now. Uh, these things take time, and I just got to continue to win and continue to put on performances. And so I really hope that this next fight Friday night is going to be one that pushes it over the top where I get the call. But if not, I'll be ready to fight in June. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Anyone, anywhere.
For sure, that makes sense. Um, Obviously, you're wanting to work towards fighting full time. Are you? I know at the past couple years you've been a waiter. Are you still working at that restaurant, or have
Yes.
you made that okay?
No, yeah, no, I'm still waiting tables as well. I do that on the weekends. Luckily, this weekend I took off because I fight next weekend, so they actually do a really good job of like balancing my schedule. But it's the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time. That's why I like to wait tables. Um, I'm definitely getting. I've been a waiter for like 6 years now since I was 19 in college. I was started at Cracker Barrel, and now I'm at a little taco spot in Delray Beach, Florida. And so definitely a change of pace. But to be honest, I'm ready. I'm ready to be done waiting tables. Getting kind of like on my last nerve, unfortunately. You know, but I mean, for now it works. It's definitely not a long term thing. I mean, I definitely want to dive into other business ventures as well. Find other ways to make money other than serving people. But for now, it works. It lets me train as much as I can, and it's awesome. I only got to work like 2 days a week, and I can pay my bills. And so as long as I can continue to do that, and like stay away from having kids or anything that's going to increase my expenses, then we're good for now.
Yeah, that for sure. So, at what point do you think? uh, Maybe you've envisioned this, but like, at what point do you think you'll be able to leave that job and start working as a fighter full time?
So I mean, like I already consider myself a full time fighter because I train as just as much, if not more, than the full time fighters already. Um, but like where I can actually get rest and not have to always be on my feet. I mean, that's like where the sport is. That's like your second or third contract into the UFC. Obviously, first contract when you're just getting your feet wet. Um, it's not going to be able to just that income alone unless you get a couple performance bonuses. Like honestly, if I get a performance bonus, then I'm quitting that job 100%. Um, but yeah, no, it definitely takes a couple fights. But I want to be done waiting tables like 2 years max. If I can do like a year and then start training people like holding mitts, I've done that before. I mean, I could do that as well. But yeah, I don't see myself waiting tables much longer. It's is what it is. But
I'm sure that you are able to at least um, have a lot of stories based off of your time waiting tables. I'm sure that, especially at a taco place, you get these middle aged moms and stuff that have too many margaritas and just act a fool. I'm sure that you have a few stories about like things like that. Can you share some of those kind of stories?
um, so people say I look like Conor McGregor like 3 times a week just because I have a beard and cauliflower ears. I think that's literally the only reason why. And so I get that a lot. And so I always get the drunk dude at the bar that's like trying to like test himself, you know. But like I always just ignore it and walk past because I got other stuff I got to deal with. Um, Gosh, no, honestly, not that many crazy stories to be honest. Most people are actually pretty respectful. Um, One time I worked at a Chili's in like the hood of not the hood of Fort Lauderdale, but not like the best area for Fort Lauderdale, and it was like $5 tips every single table, and so you just had to try to get as many tables as you could possibly get while like people were like screaming at you, and like people would ding their drinks with their glasses actually to get my attention. I've never actually had that happen, especially being from the Midwest where everybody's all about manners and like hospitality, and so that was like a huge change up. um you know I mean, honestly really not that many like big stories. It just usually drunk people saying dumb shit, and that's pretty much it.
That's fair. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's fair.
yeah. People aren't like crazy. Like I don't know. It's never been. I don't have a horror story like that. Some people do have. I also have extremely thick skin, and so I think that does help.
That makes sense. And there weren't any, especially like at the height of COVID or anything, there weren't any people like arguing over masks and things like that, I guess.
Oh yeah, no, people would argue, but like I think like a big thing was if it would like be under my nose a little bit, I would get yelled to pull it back up by like people all the time, which I'd be like, I understand. Yes, I'll put it back up. Sorry, my apologies. Um, yeah, no, working in the restaurant industry during COVID was probably like just the craziest thing because like the rules were down here is that like you could be during COVID. I worked at this one place. It was another taco spot, but it was like half outside, half inside. So people would walk outside with the mask off because you didn't need a mask to be outside. But as soon as you step inside, even though all the windows were open, you had to put the mask on. And then you sit down at your table, and then the mask comes off. But then it's like you, as soon as you like get back up to go to the bathroom, you have to put your mask back on. And like they would have inspectors come around, like every Friday, Saturday night, like city health inspectors, and we would actually would get shut down for like a day or two at a time and issued a fine. Obviously, not me personally, but the business would or the restaurant would, if you caught any guest not following the the restrictions or following the law on the mask. And so that was an extremely interesting time. Was definitely working through COVID, being a waiter. But
And I bet.
yeah, it's over now, so good.
Yeah, for sure. And then I'm sure you still do at this point, coach kids jujitsu. I'm sure that kids are hilarious to deal with. I have friends that are elementary school teachers, and they just tell me stories all the time about how silly they are and things like that. What kind of stories do you have from teaching kids jujitsu?
So I actually do not teach kids jiu-jitsu anymore. I stopped that around February. My schedule was getting too jam-packed, and so I was really allowing me no time to rest. And so I decided to take a step back and kind of like take care of myself more. And so I did do it for about a year though. And you know, it's like the ages like 6 up until 12 were the easy ones. Usually most time they would pay attention, and like a couple of the kids were the coaches' kids as well, so they're very easy to coach, very coachable, and they were talented kids. But it was like the 3 to 5 year olds, man. And like I'm a big kid person. I've got like 7 nieces and nephews. I love them. I come from a big family. I'm the youngest of 5, and I love kids. But like, whew, my I remember they would not pay attention whatsoever, and you cannot get their attention. And so one of my coaches and good friends, Sean Soriano, came up to me because he's like, yeah, when I was your age, I would run the kids class when I first got started. He's like, what you got to do is you got to look at them like you're looking at an opponent at your weigh-ins. And so, sorry, can you hear me still?
Yeah.
Sorry to be out here. Yeah, you can still hear me? Okay, cool. And so one time a kid talked back to me, and I like got down, put my hands on my knees and stared into his soul. And that kid paid attention and listened to like the rest of the class. And so that was probably the best advice I had gotten with dealing with kids class. Yeah. Other than that, like I got some gnarly cow flyers. So like, other than that, they'll just like grab on my ear or like always ask about it. But yeah.
Yeah, that's
Sorry, man.
I'm sure.
Sorry to storm outside.
As is always the case in Florida, there's almost never a day where it doesn't rain or storm even for a couple minutes. So completely understandable.
Yeah, always raining. And I have like a Ford Ranger as well that has that I always put my gear in the bed of my truck, and like my gear is in the bed of my truck right now. I already know it is, and so I already know it's just getting destroyed with rain.
Oh man.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah,
well.
we'll go ahead. I was going to wrap it up anyway, so we'll go ahead and wrap that up so you can go ahead and get that out of your truck. So tell me as we wrap up how we can follow you on social media. What sort of sponsors you want to shout out? I saw that you had a Gold Spectrum CBD shirt on. I'm sure that's one of the people you want to shout out, and tell people how they can watch your fight and all of that.
Yeah, so you guys can follow me on Instagram at Garrett Armfield 135. Follow me on Twitter at Armfield 135 as well. And then again, I got a Facebook page, Garrett Armfield. Yeah, shout out to all my sponsors that I have. Mostly Team Sanford. You guys are my family. You guys took me in whenever I moved down here 3 years ago, and you guys have completely transformed me into the man I am now. And I'm so grateful and so happy to be able to have those guys in my life. You can watch my fight, the co-main event, on FAC 13 on UFC Fight Pass next Friday night. The card starts at 8 p.m. Central Time. So, yeah, I'm ready to put on a show for everybody and knock one out of the way, and then hopefully one day you'll see me on ESPN.
Absolutely. That's been Garrett Armfield. Thank you for your time today, and best of luck in your fight.
Thank you so much, sir.